Okay, so I want to show you how to hardtail your PRS bridge. So first things first, I want to pull these strings off. Now it is important to note that this currently has 10 to 48s on it, and we're bumping up to 10 to 54. So it is going to change the setup quite a bit. Okay. So, let's talk about a few things. First, I pulled all the strings off on a bridge like this. Do you hear it pop, that loud ping? Complete opposite of what you want to do. Because what can happen is you can snap these heads off the screw. Thankfully, it didn't happen in this demo. I was a little nervous about it. But on a bridge like this where it floats, even if it's flush-tailed or hard-tailed, you still don't want to pull the strings all off at once. Maybe 3 at a time, because when you lose all the tension, it flops forward. The strings actually are pulling it forward into the screws. And since these have a knife edge, you could break the screw heads off. And I have seen many PRSs with the knife edges broke. So first thing I want to do is I want to flip the guitar over. And with the proper screwdriver, we're going to loosen the claw to where the springs start to lose tension. This one is not wanting to bite. Okay, so they have tension, but they're nothing crazy. So we can easily, well, not that one, remove them by hand. Okay, now we're going to flip this over. Now, because demonstration purposes, I want to pull these screws out of the bridge just a tiny bit. So we're not coming up crazy high. We're just coming up, just enough that we can work with the screw height. So I'm going to tilt it on its side and inspect the screws. The knife edges look fine, and none of them look weak or broken. Now, you've probably seen some of my other videos about my full setup kit for guitars, where you have this one for like your PRSs with the pick guard, and then this one is for more of your traditional PRS bridge like this. And the concept is you set the guitar up with this on it, keeps the bridge nice and flush against the body or the tailpiece, and then once you're done, you loosen the springs, this falls out, and then you go on from there. Well, I wanted to show you, because I've got a lot of requests. I breezed over it in the one video, but I don't think I did a good enough job explaining it. So I want to show you what this is and why it's important to use even if you're not floating the bridge. So this is the my screw depth gauge, and essentially I'm going to set it up here. It's flush against the bridge. And I'm going to lower the screw, and then when it touches the gauge, just barely kisses the gauge. That is telling me that when the springs are pulling this forward, it should set right inside of the notch which is exactly how it was designed. That's why, so using a gauge like this, I found out the exact measurements to where this would set on your bridge, so that when you lower the screws down, they sit exactly where you want. Now, one of the feedbacks that I've got from a lot of customers is that sometimes it moves around a little bit. So my tip or suggestion is we're going to tape down the bridge. Now this is very low tack tape, so it won't mess up the finish. So this is holding the bridge in position. And now I'm going to hold this here with my 2 fingers, and I'm going to lower it. Now that I know the bridge isn't going to move, I can really concentrate on how close I'm getting with the screws. We're going to get them all close, and then we're going to take a closer look and check them out. Now, I like to get closer to eye level for this. Because you can really see if it's touching or not. Okay, now let's see how easy it is to pull out. Perfect. And it slides back in. Very little resistance. So I know we're where we want to be. Now if you're wondering, these look a little bit different than the last videos I've shown. I'm only printing out like 6 or 7 of these, and I'm going to keep a set for myself. These are made out of glow-in-the-dark material. So if I was to kill the big overhead light above my head, these would glow a little bit. I had some of it left over from a project I did, and I was like, you know what, let me print a couple of these out and glow in the dark. So they look really good. And then when you kill the lights, they kind of glow green. Okay, so we have everything set. Now, I'm going to place this depth gauge back onto the bridge, and then we're going to carefully place our springs, I should say, back on. Now I have the claw loosened quite a bit, so there's very little tension, because if you have too much tension on it, the depth gauge will break. So it's very loose at the moment, but it's also making sure this doesn't move up and could cause damage to the knife edges on the PRS bridge. So I'm going to flip it over, expose that a little bit, and we're going to throw some strings on. Now, this is a man-made bridge, which is who used to make the bridges for PRS back in the day. So this is not a true SE bridge. It is a replacement bridge by John Mann, and I think his stuff is just superb. He makes incredible stuff. And Paul at one point thought so too, because he used John Mann for all of the original PRS bridges. And I believe it was actually a design with John and Paul for the 6-screw knife point, but don't quote me on that. Okay, now we're not going to really get them too taut. We just want to kind of get them snug and get them on the guitar. So you can see there's really no tension on that. Okay.
You can go ahead and pull this off. Now before we poke an eye out, let's make sure the thumb wheels are tight. Let's go ahead and cut these off. Okay. We're gonna only turn it just a little bit so that it has a slight angle. Cool. And then we're gonna pull this out.
It's a lot slippier than the other one. It's just so slick and smooth that I just can't get a grip of it, where the carbon fiber I usually print with is a little bit rough up top, so you can kind of get a nice grip. So if I do another run of these, I'm probably going to make the top taller, because man, this is so slip. Okay, we have the strings turned, so I don't like to leave the tuning machine straight with the string just pulled through and taut. I like to give it a little break angle. It's just me. So now, before we go too far by tuning it up, we are going to tighten this. We're going to go all the way to the body. Make sure that it's nice and snug against the body. And now we can tune the pitch. I'm not going to tune every string up to pitch. I kind of like to get them all more, I like to bring them all up a little bit and just keep bringing them all up till we get to pitch. Essentially, on a bridge that is meant to float or is floating, I don't like to go from super flubby to tension on one string at a time. I like to, if they're super flubby, bring them up a little bit, bring them up a little bit, bring them up a little bit, so that you're gradually increasing the tension on the springs and the strings, rather than just nothing all the way to pitch, nothing all the way to pitch, because then it could cause some weird issues, and it doesn't take much longer to bring them all up incrementally. So that's what I do. Okay, so we're going to recheck it. And now I want to check the bridge. So the bridge is flush. And I always do the tap test to make sure that there's not something I'm not seeing causing the bridge to not be flush. And then every screw is at the perfect height, and they all sit in the knife edges perfectly. Beautiful bridge setup. It's exactly where I want it. It's great. So now we're going to do a quick setup to it. We're going to check the relief. We're going to loosen it a little bit. And I realize you can't see this on camera, so I am going to breeze through it till we get to the next part. So this is my modified radius gauge. This is a modified 10. And the way I came up with this is I took the base radius, which is 10, right? So this is for guitars with a 10-inch radius. And then I said, what's the average height of your fret wire? And then what's the average action from, or the distance from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string? And then I said, what's the average string gauge that most players use? And I added it together, and I took all 6 points and I created 6 different radiuses on my CAD software, connected them all, and came out with this one here. So this is specifically designed to set on top of your guitar, on top of the strings, and to set up your radius or your action this way. So what we're going to do, first and foremost, is we need to set our outer strings. Now, we're going to loosen the string a little bit, put it in playing position, and I'm at 2/64. I'm going to raise it to 3. Okay, now the low is at 2, and I'm going to raise it to 4. Perfect, that is where I want it. So now, I'm going to give all the strings some slack. Just because we're doing some drastic action changes here. Because it was at like right under 2 to right above 2-ish or 3-ish. I had it set up very low. So I'm kind of resetting up the whole setup for this guitar. So the way these work is you want to be able to read it facing you. So this is a treble and this is the bass. Okay? And then the way I test to see, where'd my pick go? The way I test it to see if they're touching or not is I just pluck the string. So then I'll raise the string till it touches the radius gauge. Meanwhile, making sure that as I raise each saddle, I'm keeping the saddle parallel and even to the bridge, so you don't have a saddle that's cockeyed. So the D string is a little tough to move, so I'm going to give it a little bit more slack. Okay. Now, one of the biggest advice tips is don't just gently hold this on top, because you can make them all mute out. You just want to gently rest it on there and just use your hand to keep it straight up and down. Now before we get too much further, let's retune. Okay, so now we're back in tune. Still don't know where my pick went. And that's okay. So we're going to place the radius gauge back over the pickup. So we are going to raise these two just a little bit. Okay, let's check the tune one more time. Okay, so the tuning is on point. It feels great. Now, let's grab my ruler. And we're going to check something. So, we're at 3, just a little bit above, just a little bit above. And it gets us from 3 to 4 in a very gradual rise, which is exactly what you want if you were setting it up without the radius gauge. This is just meant to be a very quick way to get everything locked in, and then play the guitar, and then you can make minor adjustments as you feel needed. But the beautiful thing with the setup gauge is it allows you to get everything in a lot quicker. And if you're playing, or if you're touring as a tech, or if you're even playing a venue and you have to adjust your action, this gets you to where you need to go in a hurry. A lot of the times on a stage, I'll have to reset up a guitar for an artist, or he'll bring me a new guitar and be like, set this up the way I like it. And sometimes it's hard to read the little lines on a big stage with little light. Even with the big light I have in my work box, sometimes it can be a little difficult reading every string. So I set the outside strings, and then I can lay this on it and raise every string up, and then I'll play it. And then I'll be like, okay, so let's bring this down a little bit. Let's bring this down a little bit. But honestly, since I've created these, everything comes out feeling great, feeling smooth, and just has a really nice, nice setup to it. So that is how you use the screw depth gauge to set your PRS up hardtail. And then this is how you use the radius modified gauges to set your action. Remember, writing always faces you. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. You can buy all of these products that you saw at my website at hardinbacklinesupply.com. The whole purpose of everything I do is to be able to make your job as a tech or a player efficient and be able to replicate the results time after time. I think you can be a great tech, but if you can't replicate your work time after time after time in an efficient manner, it's kind of futile. So, the Hardin Backline Supply kit of the PRS setup comes with the 2 different bridge gauges, your screw depth gauge, and then you can get the deluxe set with the modified radius gauge. Or you can buy my kit of modified radius gauges for every radius Well, I have 7.25, 9.5, 10, 12, and 16. So check them out. If you like what you see, drop a comment. If you own one of these and they've really helped you out, let everyone know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day.